News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, we begin with the latest on the Middle East. The U.S. has issued a 60-day license allowing Iran to sell its own oil on the international market. This gives Tehran an economic lifeline as both sides continue talks on a permanent peace deal. We get the very latest from Bloomberg Middle East correspondent Abir Abu Omar.
What we know about this waiver is that essentially the U.S. Treasury has extended it to Iran until August 21st. That is the day where the 60-day period of negotiations would have stopped. And so that would allow Iran to sell oil exports, bringing back this much-needed supply to the market because of the shutdown in the Strait of Hormuz. Our teams on the energy side have tracked just how many oil barrels would come out, or have come out actually, over the past week, and that's about 30 million barrels. And so we're still seeing a trickle of movement, definitely better situation than what it was at. The waiver essentially means that Iran can sell its oil even to U.S. refineries, theoretically. But something to bear in mind, again, is that the EU, for example, has its own sanctions. And so we don't know if they're going to be buying this oil.
Bloomberg's Abir Abu Omar says 7 tankers indicated they were in the Strait of Hormuz this morning. And checking oil prices now, West Texas Intermediate is down 0.7%, trading at $73.35 a barrel. Brent is 0.8% lower at $77.28.
We now turn to the latest developments in British politics. Nathan, the UK could be set for a quick transition to a new premiership as rivals to the frontrunner Andy Burnham stand aside. We go to London, where Bloomberg's Ewan Potts has the latest. Good morning, Ewan.
Karen and Nathan, the UK is set to get its 7th Prime Minister in a decade. In fact, it's almost 200 years since Britain changed its leader so frequently. As the Labour Party has a majority in Parliament, its leader becomes Prime Minister. And after the former Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham's main rival for the leadership, dropped out, he could get the job without a formal contest. If that happened, number 10 Downing Street could have a new occupant as soon as the middle of next month. In London, I'm Ewan Potts, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Ewan, thank you. Let's turn to politics here in this country because it is primary election day in New York and Maryland, as well as a runoff day in South Carolina. In New York, a number of congressional races could be a test of Mayor Zoran Mamdani's political power. The mayor has endorsed challengers to 2 Democratic incumbents, Dan Goldman and Adriano Espaillat. We spoke with Congressman Goldman about his race against former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander.
Look, I think broadly we generally agree on what the problems are. Life is just way too expensive for the vast majority of Americans, and we have to address the dramatic escalation in wealth inequality and the difficulty that so many people have in accessing opportunity in this country and the American dream.
New York Congressman Dan Goldman appeared on Bloomberg's Balance of Power. Mayor Mamdani's also endorsed activist Daria Liza Avila Chevalier against Congressman Espaillat.
Well, there's also a crowded field, Nathan, to succeed retiring Congressman Jerry Nadler in his Midtown Manhattan district. It includes John F. Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, and former never-Trump Republican turned Democrat George Conway. Mamdani has not given an endorsement in that race, but in the interest of transparency, we should note that Michael Bloomberg has endorsed Michael Lasher for Congress, and Bloomberg is founder and majority owner of Bloomberg LP, the parent company of Bloomberg Radio.
And Karen, we're also keeping an eye on primary races in Maryland. Governor Wes Moore is seeking re-election to a second term. He's facing a Democratic primary challenge from physician Eric Felber. The Republican governor's race features 9 candidates, including former state delegate Dan Cox, who lost to Moore in 2022. In the House, 24 candidates are vying for retiring former Democratic leader Steny Hoyer's seat. They include former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who helped defend the Capitol during the January 6th attack. And in the South Carolina runoff, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette is facing State Attorney General Alan Wilson again in the Republican governor's race. President Trump endorsed Yvette in the primary, but last week he said he'd be happy if either candidate wins today.
Let's turn to Washington now, Nathan. President Trump is putting attention on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Algae has started to build back in after his $16 million resurfacing of the landmark. And now the president says he has evidence of vandalism at the site.
We have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it, probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind. Or we had people lifting up the basic, it's not a lot of damage, but we'll probably have to let the water out and refix it.
The president spoke to reporters in the Oval Office, but he provided little evidence to support his claim. The Interior Department says 5 people have been arrested for vandalism at the pool, and 5 others have received citations. On Truth Social last night, President Trump said he's preparing lawsuits against ABC News over its reporting on the damage to the reflecting pool. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.